Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a focused learner craving the rich, deeply comforting flavors of Northern Thai cuisine, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're completely demystifying a true legend, Khao Soi. It's this incredibly rich coconut curry noodle soup that's just an absolute must-try. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break down the whole process step by step, specifically tailored for beginners, taking all the mystery out of how to build those intense, authentic flavors right at home.
Now, our culinary source material today kicks things off with a pretty reassuring mantra. It says, actually, Khao Soi is not difficult to make at all. So often when we look at these complex, multi-layered regional classics, we just assume they require years of training or impossible to find equipment. Well, we're going to completely shatter that myth right now. By tackling this with a structured approach, you'll see that whipping up this masterpiece is actually highly manageable for any home cook.
To prove just how approachable this whole thing is, we're using a component deconstruction method. First, we'll prep the tender chicken, then we'll move on to pounding the paste, tackling the dual noodles, creating the coconut curry magic, and finally assembling our masterpiece.
All right, part one, the tender chicken foundation. To get this going, we're starting by submerging chicken drumsticks into 1,000 milliliters of thin coconut milk.
Now, what's really interesting here is this exact number, 40. This represents the absolute minimum number of minutes you need to let those chicken drumsticks simmer in that thin coconut milk. If you're a beginner, pay close attention because this is your first major caution. Whatever you do, do not rush this step.
Simmering for a full 40 minutes is what guarantees the drumsticks hit that signature fall-off-the-bone tenderness. It's an absolutely crucial precaution for the final texture of your dish. See, while the heat is slowly breaking down the meat, that thin coconut milk is actually infusing right into the chicken itself, building this rich, deeply savory base layer. So get your chicken bubbling, set that timer for 40 minutes, and honestly, just let the stove do the heavy lifting for a bit.
Moving right along to part two, pounding the perfect paste. While your chicken is simmering away, this is where we roll up our sleeves and craft our curry base entirely from scratch.
Okay, so here is your ultimate roadmap to flavor. The trick here is you don't just dump everything in at once. No, you have to pound each group until it's super fine before adding the next. We start with the hard spices, grab a teaspoon of kaffir lime skin and a teaspoon of coriander seeds. Pound those down until they're basically powdery. Next up, toss in your tough aromatics, a tablespoon each of lemongrass and galangal, along with 1.5 tablespoons of roasted dry chilies. Pound it all again. Then, your fresh roots go in. That's 5 shallots, 1 chopped turmeric rhizome, and oh, here's a fantastic pro tip from our source regarding ingredient selection. Use 5 large Chinese garlic cloves. Why? Because their bigger size makes them so much easier to peel and pound compared to smaller local ones. Finally, once the whole thing looks like a fine, uniform paste, you just blend in 2 tablespoons of shrimp paste. Taking the time to pound this really finely is the absolute secret to getting that intensely concentrated, authentic flavor.
Which brings us to part 3, noodles, boiled and fried. This dual noodle component is exactly what gives Khao Soi its signature, unforgettable mouthfeel, using those great, wide, flat egg noodles.
Let's contrast these two preparation methods. For the crispy fried noodles, you want to gently tease apart a nest of raw noodles first, just so they don't clump up on you. Drop them straight into hot oil. They fry incredibly fast, so you gotta watch them like a hawk. Once they turn a beautiful golden color, give them a quick flip, take them out, and let them drain. Now, for the boiled noodle side of things, you just boil them exactly like standard noodles until they're cooked through. But here is a crucial pro tip for beginners. The second they're done, immediately rinse those boiled noodles in plain, room temperature water. This instantly stops the cooking process and washes away all that excess starch, which guarantees your noodles won't just stick together in a massive gummy clump at the bottom of your bowl. You can even toss them in a tiny bit of oil afterward for a nice little gloss.
Up next is part 4, the coconut curry magic. This is it. Time to create that rich, flavorful broth that's going to bring the whole dish together.
To pull this off, you need to master a really fundamental Thai culinary technique known as cracking the coconut milk. Basically, you take 500 milliliters of thicker coconut milk, bottled or boxed works perfectly fine here, and you simmer it in a pot on low heat. As it simmers away, the water slowly evaporates, and the natural coconut oils actually begin to separate and float right up to the surface. Once you see that oil has separated, that's your cue to stir in that gorgeous curry paste you pounded earlier. And this brilliantly illustrates how the oils from the cracked coconut milk literally fry the curry paste right there in the pot, which unlocks all those vibrant colors and deep, spicy aromas.
All right, so once your curry paste is completely integrated and super fragrant inside that cracked coconut milk, it's finally time to marry our components. You're going to take those chicken drumsticks, which remember have been simmering away for a solid 40 minutes now, and pour them, along with their entire pot of thin coconut broth, directly into your rich curry base. And hey, if you're someone who prefers a larger volume of soup, our source notes that you can absolutely add a splash of plain water right here to stretch the broth out without losing any of that complex flavor profile. With our broth happily bubbling away, we move on to the seasoning stage. You'll want to add 1.5 tablespoons of coconut sugar to build that essential underlying sweetness. Then, go ahead and add your fish sauce and chicken bouillon to taste, just balancing out the salty and savory notes until it hits the spot. For those who don't mind it, a dash of MSG is a totally optional addition right here to pump up the umami. Give the whole thing a really good stir, let it simmer for just 5 final minutes so all those flavors can meld together, and boom, your majestic Khao Soi broth is officially complete.
And finally, part 5, assembling your masterpiece. This right here is the beautiful, delicious reward for all your structured prep work. Building the bowl is really where the magic happens, and the best part is that it's highly customizable. Just look at this layering process. You start with a nice nest of your perfectly rinsed boiled noodles right at the base. Gently place one of those fall-off-the-bone chicken drumsticks on top. Then ladle a generous amount of that incredibly rich, fragrant curry broth right over the whole thing. Now listen, the garnishes, they are non-negotiable if you want the true experience. You've got to add some sliced shallots and tangy pickled mustard greens to cut through the richness of the coconut. Squeeze a fresh lime wedge over the top, sprinkle on some fresh spring onion and coriander, crown the entire bowl with a massive handful of those crispy fried noodles for maximum crunch, and hey, finish it off with a little dash of chili powder if you like it hot.
Think about it. You've pounded a fresh paste from scratch, you've successfully cracked coconut milk, and you've totally mastered the dual noodle technique. So what on earth are you waiting for? You literally have the blueprint right in front of you. Go ahead and bring the authentic, deeply comforting tastes of Northern Thailand right into your own kitchen today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy cooking!